I've collected basketball cards ever since I known. I guess I was probably 9 or 10 when I started collecting them. I had them all stacked in folders, and then I had a bunch of shoe boxes, just like cards everywhere.
One thing about card collecting is it's time to reminisce about your childhood, and I think that's probably the greatest aspect of card collecting.
As soon as I open a pack of cards, it kind of throws me back to when I was like 6 going to the milk bar. It's just that feeling, I think.
I definitely would call myself a cardboard addict.
I've got it pretty bad, I must admit.
I'm a cardboard addict. I'm happy to tell you that.
I was told to get a hobby by my psychologist probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Well, I'll pick one. Now they're like, oh my God.
Everyone remembers the glory days of the 90s, but AFL cards were around since like 1880s, I think it was, and then NRL cards in the early 1900s.
1910 was when their first real known cards came out. They were postcards. John Lomas, the English captain, and Daily Messenger. They were just a postcard of the kicking duel, and people wrote on the card and sent it back to Mother England.
The 1920s started out with your confectionery. There's not many of them that got here in pure mint condition because they were coming over on ships.
After that, there was a few individual cards, the BDV cigarettes.
The majority of your cards came in cigarette packs. You'd cut your corners off, all 4 corners, and that used to be your filter for your cigarette. So when you're sitting there rolling a cigarette, you just, oh yeah, I got this card, it was just something fun, give to your kid. I'll cut the corner off, roll it for a ciggy and have a ciggy and give them.
I've got to be honest, I'll take the Lamborghini. Imagine the girls that you'd get with that. And I remember going to a school fete with my mother, and I remember seeing my first football card in a box there, like a shoe box. I said to Mum, I really like that. So she bought me the cards, and I took them home, and I just remember looking at them all the time. This is when cards became a lot more colourful. The final years of Scandal's football cards, 86 was red, and then purple for 87. When I was about 19, I joined the Navy and travelled the world, and I lost interest in rugby league altogether actually for a while because I just didn't see much of it. Somehow I was living in Western Australia and I bought some footy cards again. That just sort of moved from buying some footy cards to boxes to cases to becoming a bit of a dealer. It just got a bit out of hand, I'd say. So in this folder is the Honus Wagner story for Australian Rugby League, and that is the Wally Lewis Wynnum Manly football card, which was destroyed and only a few made it out into the marketplace. I would say there would be a few holy grails. A Reg Gazzi in 1963 is definitely one of the best. I think something like that would be anywhere up to $3,000 or $4,000. So a 1963 Scanlon's card set, that has got to be the holy grail of rugby league collections. There's 18 cards in them, and a full set of those mint, you're looking at probably $1,000 each, so you're looking at $18,000 at a minimum. If it did come up for sale, it would be probably close to double that. And probably the most popular era of rugby league cards is 1994 when dynamic marketing came onto the scene. Some very cutting edge designs. This was the first ever time that rugby league cards had official signed cards. I've written a book on the history of rugby league football cards in Australia. People have called it the Bible in the past, which is pretty flattering, but I never called it that myself. My website started off quite small, but for a card shop, I'd say for sure it's the biggest rugby league website in the world, mostly cards. So I recently did catalogue my entire rugby league card collection, and the value came up to over $380,000.